we, like as a society, sometimes don't know what we're doing. We're talking about being in the masculine energy. It's not just being like in the masculine energy, it's when to be in the masculine energy, when to be in the feminine energy. Because here's the thing, guys, you need to be in the feminine too. It's okay to ask for the feminine's help. And in fact, not only is it okay, it will actually put her further into her feminine. A lot of this type of work, it can be considered more relationship, like romantic relationship based. But the thing is it's actually relationships on all levels. So whether that's business partnerships, whether that's you are masculine leading a team, or anything in between. You can't lead her 24/7. It's actually not good for either of you. The ways in which you lead her are extremely important. In this moment, when he was saying he feels like he can't lead me, in this moment he was actually right. If your woman feels unsafe, that is one of the fastest ways to put her in her masculine. It's your responsibility to put her in her feminine. Why? Because you're the lead. Aloha. In this video, we're going to be talking about being in the masculine energy. So if you are a male watching this, or if you identify as a male, like you're more in that male energy. So this could be, from a relationship perspective, it could be like two females and one of them identifies more with the masculine energy. If you are a male, this is all for you. Now, if you are a female, or again, identify with that feminine energy, with that female energy, then I highly encourage you to watch this as well, because there's going to be some information for you too, and how you interact with your partner. Now, this is a lot of this type of work, it can be considered more relationship, like romantic relationship based. But the thing is it's actually relationships on all levels. So whether that's business partnerships, whether that's you are masculine leading a team, or anything in between. What this video is about is it's not just being like in the masculine energy, it's when to be in the masculine energy, when to be in the feminine energy. Because here's the thing, guys, you need to be in the feminine too. And sometimes you actually need to allow your woman, or the person who is representing the feminine energy for you, to be in her masculine. I'm going to use pronouns like him and her just because it's a little bit less confusing and I can't list them all. But please know what I'm talking about is if you are resonating more with like being in your masculine, or if you're resonating more with like being in your feminine. Most of the time in same-sex relationships, the one person will be more about the feminine energy and one person will be more about the masculine energy. So again, I'll be using terms like he, she, male, female, and what I'm really talking about is, are you in that energy? Trying to keep language simple though. Okay, so if you've been watching, there's like a whole series of these videos. So if you've been watching them, you know that I've recently gone through a breakup, and in that breakup, there was a lot of aha moments. There was a lot of moments to where I realized we, like as a society, sometimes don't know what we're doing. We sometimes like think masculine means something, and it kind of turns out there's lots of different levels of the masculine energy. So we're going to be discussing higher levels of vibration of masculine and lower levels of vibration of the masculine. We'll also be talking about the higher levels of feminine energy and the higher or the lower vibrations of feminine energy as well. And we'll be talking about men. It's important for you to be a lead in your relationship. And it's also important to sometimes let your feminine lead, as like the female representing partner lead as well. Again, if you're in a male, the person might not be biologically female, but they just represent that energy. So getting into this, I've really realized the importance of understanding the masculine and feminine energy and being able to work on all energy spectrums and with both masculine and feminine, and how important it is to be able to bring both into you. And that's actually part of my goal as a being incarnated into this person, Sabrina. Oh, and by the way, I'm Sabrina with a big N. Being, click, like, subscribe, all of those different little things. Share, most importantly, share, get the word out, right? Because if no one else, if Google doesn't like the algorithms, or YouTube doesn't like algorithms or whatever, then no one's going to see this video, so what's the point? So do all of the things so Google, likes the algorithms. All right. When we're thinking about masculine energy, sometimes it can go multiple directions. So the masculine has been in control on a societal level for so long, and it has been the type of control that's more do as I say no matter what. And a lot of that since the 50s and 60s has shifted. I mean, there's cycles and rhythms. So there was different stuff that shifted way prior to that Renaissance, all of that kind of things. But in most of our lifetimes, or our parents' lifetimes, or possibly grandparents, in our immediate family type life system, it really started, our immediate history is women couldn't vote, they had no say, and that was a type of masculine energy that was out there, not just from individuals, but from society as well, and from family archetype, like family structures as well. And since the 50s and 60s, in our recent history anyway, it's moved to like the feminist movement, and it's moved to more of okay, women matter. They should vote. They have their own intelligence. Women didn't used to be able to get things like credit cards or bank accounts or loans or stuff like that. We can now get all of that stuff. And this was just in like my grandparents' generation. So it's very recent that this has happened. So now it's some of the energy is shifting. And some of the energy has shifted a little bit too far. So now for a lot of men, like younger men, boys, the younger generation, now it's almost bad if you're in your masculine. Now there's a lot of like, oh, don't be too in your masculine. You can seem like misogynistic or egotistical, or the energy has almost gone too far the other way. So one of my biggest goals in life is to be able to bring back the harmony. The pendulum is swinging, from different directions, and pendulum can mean different things depending on, what books and stuff you've listened to. I'm not speaking about like a society type of pendulum. I'm speaking about a literal pendulum that goes like this. So it can swing from it swung from people being way too in their like almost egotistical, direct, demanding masculine, to now guys are sometimes almost afraid to be in their masculine. Now they're almost afraid to, hunt or kill an animal, which is something that it's almost like instinctual. It used to be like a rite of passage. And so some men can now be very disconnected from their masculine energy. Now, at the same time, women are being asked more and more to be in their masculine energy. And the reason why is because in order to like lead at work, or in order to get a lot of tasks done, the masculine is more of the left brain, logical tasks, being direct, being the part of it can be demanding or can seem demanding, but it's that you got to get stuff done. And so a lot of women are having to be in their masculine, like I said, at work or, various places like that. And so men, when you are in a relationship, if you are the male or the male energy in your relationship, you actually have to learn how to not only balance the male energy within, or the masculine energy within you, you also have to help guide your female. You have to help guide her to be in her feminine. And I'll go over the ways in which you do this and the differences and stuff like that. And those of you who have been watching this series, you know that I've recently gone through a breakup, and there were certain things to where he really, really, really wanted to lead me. That was like his main goal in our relationship. He wanted to be the masculine. He wanted to be the lead. And he ended up breaking up with me. And one of the reasons why is because he said that it was like he couldn't lead me. He said, and these are his words. He said, I was smarter than him, I was faster than him, I knew more things than him. And so he felt like he was always playing catch up. And he felt like he couldn't lead me. And at the time I was going, well, of course you're leading me, because I was doing things that I normally wouldn't do. So I travel for work, and so he's like semi-retired, and so he can do whatever he wants, really. And so he was traveling with me to different events. Now, he's also taken the trainings that I teach, and he's into the topics that we teach and stuff like that. And so in the beginning, it was fun for him to like travel with me. And all day in the training, I would be in my masculine, because when you're teaching, you're generally more in your masculine energy. Now, there are things that I've come to discover to say that's not 100% true. Different video on that, more about feminine energy though. With this though, in the evenings, I let him know, hey, I have to be in my masculine all day. And I absolutely love it when you put me in my feminine. Because and I was telling him different ways, like, hey, if you could choose dinner, stuff like that, that would be so helpful and so amazing. And so he was leading by picking like the restaurant we would go to, by, walking us there, like giving the directions there. And I've mentioned in other videos where sometimes the directions have been wonky. In this case, when he was like leading me after trainings and stuff, the directions were perfectly fine. Nothing went wonky with directions or anything like that. And so in those moments, he was leading me, and every time I would tell him how grateful I was. Every day I would tell him how grateful I was that he was taking care of all this for me. Because what that allowed me to do is it allowed me to switch from being in my masculine energy, training, teaching people, to being able to relax, to being able to go into the flow and just let someone else guide. He would help me choose like what I want for dinner, because after you've been, the trainings are like 10, 11 hour, 12 hour days sometimes, depending on what we're doing. And so they're long days. They're very long days. And you've been up there, you've had to have your energy go, because you're teaching in front of like a group. And we teach a lot of energy work. And when you also teach a lot of energy work, you're using energy while you're teaching. So it's not like you're just standing up there like this going like, okay, Bueller. I might have just dated myself if anybody got that joke. But you're not just standing up there monotone, we put energy into what we teach, and we put energy into the room. So like I said, they're long days and you're doing a lot. So it felt so good to not have to make any decisions and have him make all the decisions for me, to, take me to the restaurant, help me, like, what do I want? Do I want this or that? You want this? Okay, perfect, thank you. Don't have to think, right? Because sometimes when you are putting your feminine in the feminine energy, or you're putting your female in the feminine energy, it allows her to just kind of like relax and go with the flow and not necessarily have to make a decision, because decisions are more masculine energy. And sometimes it's harder for females to make decisions. So he was doing all of those things. And the other thing that he would do is he drinks every single day. I don't drink every single day. It's just, I don't know why. It's just not something that I do know why, but it's just not something that I do. But because I'm in that mode of follow. And so he orders a drink, so I order a drink. Plus, when I do drink, it's more of like a social, I only usually like social drinks. So like going out to dinner or something like that. Not necessarily getting drunk or anything like that, but just a social dinner drink. And so he would order a drink, and then I would just simply follow, order a drink. And I didn't really think anything of it at the time. It was just, again, I'm actually not thinking, because I'm turning my brain and I'm turning off, right, for the evening. And So he was leading me in that. He also would like to watch South Park or like some sort of TV before bed. That's not something I do. Like, I don't even have a TV in my bedroom. And so that's not normally something that I do. And we were at hotels, so obviously there's a TV. So he's like, hey, do you mind if I, watch this? Okay, no, whatever. You're leading, right? So even though there was all of these things happening, he wanted so much to lead me in absolutely everything, every single step. He got so caught up in wanting to lead me that he wasn't even seeing the ways in which he was. He didn't, it was like complete blank for him. Even though these things were happening, he just simply could not see it. We talked after the breakup and stuff like that, and I was like, hey, did you realize all of these different things? And he's like, okay, no, I didn't. But that's sometimes when we are so focused on, I want to do this particular thing, we can sometimes lose sight of we're already doing it. So men who are watching this, and you are wanting to either move more into your masculine, or you're wanting to make sure that you're leading your woman or putting her in her feminine, please keep in mind that you can't lead her 24/7. It's actually not good for either of you if you lead her 24/7. And the ways in which you lead her are extremely important. So if you've seen some of the other videos, you've heard the story, but it's an important story for this particular video, and a very important reason why you would want to make sure you're checking yourself on what type of leadership you're giving. And one of the things about the breakup that I'm extremely grateful for is that it caused me to learn this lesson. And I don't know if I would learn this lesson in the ways that I have learned it had that not happened. So there's a couple of instances where he was leading, and in this moment when he was saying he feels like he can't lead me, in this moment he was actually right. I didn't see him as not leading, and from a different perspective, it's true, because he technically was leading. He was just not doing a very good job at leading. Nothing wrong with that, because had the situation turned out different, it could have been a learning lesson for him. It could have been a learning lesson for me as well. It didn't end that way, but well, it was learning, but in a different way for me. So we were having dinner. So it was date night. We were having dinner. We were in downtown area in a city, and we were having dinner at a restaurant, and then he wanted to go out for drinks afterwards. So he like kind of asked some like locals, where's some good restaurant or good bars and stuff like that. And so they told him about some different things, and he got on maps and looked it up, and he's like, oh, this is really close, let's walk. And so we're walking. Now guys, it's date night. I'm trying to look hot, right? So I'm in heels. We're walking. It's like been about 10, or maybe a little bit over 10 minutes. We're still walking. During part of the walk, we go like under this overpass, and we kind of go in this like dark area. It's kind of sketchy. There's like a homeless person. So I'm feeling like, if this person tries to attack us, like, I'm in heels, I can't run, maybe I'm gonna like take it off and try and throw it at him, I don't know. But I'm not feeling comfortable, not feeling safe. I am feeling like, okay, something's wrong. He said it was super close, and we're walking. We definitely should have taken an Uber. And if I was in tennis shoes, I can walk for miles and miles and miles, no problem. I go hiking all the time. I'm in heels, you guys, heels. And so finally, like, we kind of get out of the sketchy area, thank goodness. And then he's like looking at his phone. He's going like, okay, which direction is it? Still a little bit of a newer relationship. And so I'm thinking he's talking to me. Guys, if you're talking to yourself, you need to point this out. Because if you ask which way, you're going to activate your feminine, your partner's feminine of, oh my goodness, my partner is stressing out because he's like kind of, doing this. He's kind of like, all of his motions and tonality and stuff like that is stress. Plus, I can read and see energy, so I know he's in a state of stress. So he's doing that, and it activates in me, I go into, oh no, my man is stressed, let me help him, let me take care of him. Because helping and taking care of, that's feminine energy. So he puts me into my feminine energy of helping. So I get out my phone, I look it up. The first thing I realized is I said, oh, hey babe, I think you're still in driving directions, and we need to be in walking directions because it's still a lot further. We still have to walk a lot further. And I said, and it's that way. And I could tell his energy, remember I read and see energy, so I could tell his energy has shifted, and I'm like, uh-oh, okay, I think I think something's wrong. And so I ask him, I'm like, hey babe, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And he's like, well, I really just wanted to lead you. I had the directions. I wanted to take you where we were going. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you asked which way, so I was just trying to help you. And it was like he wasn't talking to me, he was talking to himself. So in that moment, he felt like I was taking over the lead. He felt I was going into my masculine. For me, I felt, oh, he just needs a little bit of help, and let me take care of him. Let me decrease his stress level, because the feminine, it's healing. The feminine wants to take care. The feminine wants to heal. So guys, if you're in a stressful situation, your feminine is going to want to try and help you. If in that point you're not accepting her help, what that can do is that can either put her in her lower vibration of feminine, meaning she's going to think, he doesn't care about me, he doesn't value me, he doesn't value my thoughts or opinions, he doesn't value me as a person, and he just wants to be right, and he doesn't care if he's wrong. And so it can put your female in that feeling of he doesn't consider me valuable to listen to. Or it can activate, possibly more of a masculine energy of her going, seriously? You're not going to accept my help? You're just going to okay, here's the other thing too I need to point out. So the other thing that I did, because again, it was a little bit newer relationship, and I'm like, okay, well, next time if this happens, what do you want me to do? Because we were lost, I'm in heels, so what do you want me to do in that type of situation? And he's like, don't say anything. And I'm like, even if we're going the wrong way? And he's like, no, I will figure it out, don't say anything. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem healthy. I'm thinking this in my mind. But I'm like, okay, well, let me just try it his way because he is really wanting to lead, so let me just try. Here's the thing though. Again, if that happens, you're probably either going to put her in her lower vibration of feminine to where she'll just be completely submissive, she'll shut down. She might start crying in that moment if she is not someone who's capable of controlling her own emotions. If she goes emotional in that moment, she might just start crying. If she is more in control of her emotions, she might not cry then and there, but she might cry later when something else possibly small or seemingly small goes wrong, and then you're wondering, what is she doing? Why is she crying? I didn't do anything. You're putting that energy to happen though. The other way it could possibly go is you might be pushing her into her masculine because now she doesn't feel safe, she doesn't trust your lead, and she kind of, like I said earlier, she kind of doesn't feel like she's valued. And because, like I said, we went through this little bit of a sketchy part, she might not trust you at this point. She might be feeling very unsafe. If your woman feels unsafe, that is one of the fastest ways to put her in her masculine. And here's the thing, you guys. Maybe this isn't fair, but it's your responsibility to put your woman in her feminine. Now, yes, she can fight against you. So at a certain point, if you're trying to put her in her feminine and you're doing everything in a positive way, then yeah, sometimes it's on her to be able to let go and give you the lead. For the most part, though, it's your responsibility to put her in her feminine. Why? Because you're the lead. So yeah, maybe it's not fair. Maybe it seems like, well, why can't she do it? Well, then she's technically leading. If there's a situation to where, you know, you guys are equal, like equal partners and stuff like that, and you both have the same knowledge, you both have, you know, you're both high, like high vibration, masculine, feminine, and you do something to where you knock her out of her feminine, as in get her lost and make her feel unsafe, it's then your job, even if she tries to lead you, even if she's like, hey, baby, it's that way, it's your job to say, thank you, I got this. Not go the wrong way because she won't trust you, but say, okay, and then you can ask for her help. If you're stressed out, it's okay to ask for the feminine's help. And in fact, not only is it okay, it will actually put her further into her feminine. And I know, guys, this might sound counterintuitive to you, to like a male. It might look like, oh, if I'm asking for help, for her help, then I'm putting her in the lead. It's actually the opposite, because helping is more of a feminine energy. So if you ask her, you're like, babe, you know, I'm getting us there, and can you just pull up your maps? I think maybe my maps is off. I think something's wrong with my maps, because that's really what it was. It wasn't that he didn't have the skills to lead, it was his map was off. And so at that point, your woman can then pull up her maps. Oh, it's in walking, yours is still stuck in driving. In that moment, she has the opportunity to then help you. When she gets to help you guys, that puts her in her feminine energy, because women love to help. They love to give. They love to be able to, I want to be clear with this, because it's giving from the perspective of taking care of. The other perspective is that they receive. So receiving is also a very feminine energy. They're receiving your lead. And if you're stuck, if you are stressed, if something is not going well with you, for you to be able to admit that it's not going well and for you to ask for their help, guys, that is one of the fastest ways to put your woman into that feminine energy, because then they get to give and they get to help you. So then the energy flows back and forth, and you're working together as a team versus someone has to be in the lead, in the front. Not only that, but there are ways to lead from the feminine as well. So, for example, if there is a fight, like say there's a family and maybe you're getting together for Thanksgiving and everybody's fighting. In that moment, the feminine can actually take over the lead. You hear stuff about the matriarchal type energy. In that moment, the feminine can take over the lead, because the feminine is more of that nurturing, caring, kind energy. So she takes over the lead. And when she takes over the lead as the masculine, it's not that she's taking the lead from you, it's she's taking the lead of the energy of the situation or of the group to be able to get everybody back on track. And what I would say is pono. It's a Hawaiian word. I'm here teaching huna in Hawaii, and one of the things we teach is a ho'oponopono, which is like an ancient Hawaiian forgiveness process. And the Hawaiians believe, and most ancient cultures believe, that if you're carrying around like negative emotions and limiting beliefs, it's harming you. It's harming not just your physical body, but your emotional body, your mental body, your spiritual body. Other videos on all of that stuff. But the point here is that she can get you guys to a state, back to a state of being pono. And pono, like the direct translation is right, but it's not right versus wrong. It's right as in congruent. It's right as in like a peace within yourself, or a congruence or a knowing of who you are in yourself. And then it's like a peacefulness with others. Like you all have this congruency. And in that moment, as a male lead, you can actually look to your female. There's a scene in the movie 300. When I was talking about through this breakup, if you're watching some of the other videos, through this breakup, one of the reasons why I'm so grateful for this is because I've really realized that the masculine and feminine is not just masculine and feminine. It's the masculine, a higher vibration and a lower vibration. The feminine, a higher vibration and a lower vibration. And then it's where are you along that spectrum? It's also, though, are you in the masculine and you're leading? If you are, where are you leading to? Because if you're leading masculine to masculine, that's a different energy. If you're leading masculine to feminine, as in the other person's in the masculine, the other person is in the feminine, those are different energies. In the movie, so I was telling this to another trainer of NLP. So with the company that I work for, we train neuro-linguistic programming, like some kind of the stuff that Tony Robbins does, but like at an advanced level. We train HUNA. We do different, basically personal growth and development trainings. And so I was talking to one of the other trainers. He's actually the owner of the company, and his background is in psychology. He has a PhD in psychology, and we're talking about this, and I'm talking about the different levels of masculine and feminine that I've discovered through going through all of my release work after the breakup. I talked about it more in a different video, but after going through all of that, and I was talking to him about this, and he's like, huh, that's really cool, because I haven't, maybe it's out there somewhere and I just don't know about it. If it is, please leave a comment below. But I haven't really heard people speak about when you're in the masculine and you're leading to masculine or you're leading to feminine. I haven't heard people speak about it in like in this type of structure. And he hasn't either. And so we're talking about this, and he said, this reminds me of a scene from the movie 300. And in that scene, the king it's in the very beginning of the movie. Maybe I'll post some clips or something. But in this scene, the king, he's being told, hey, you have to fall. Please forgive me. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie, but you have to come under, like you can still kind of lead your people or whatever, but you have to come under this other like God King. This God King's taking over, and you have to come under this God King, and your people have to now submit to us. And he's basically like, no. And when he's talking to him, though, at a certain point, he's talking, and his wife, the queen, starts talking to the ambassador for the God King. And this ambassador goes, like, why are you allowing your woman to speak, basically? And to that society, it's like shocking, because in the God King society, the women were not allowed to speak. The women did not have a say in anything. And so this ambassador couldn't understand why the king was allowing his woman to speak. And she was at the higher vibration of feminine. And so she didn't allow him to, have her cower down or have her be submissive or apologize or anything like that. She stayed strong in her feminine. She wasn't overtaking her husband, the king. She wasn't going into her masculine. She was standing up in her feminine and basically supporting her husband. And her husband allowed her, and I shouldn't even use the word allowed, because in his mind it's not even an allowing, it's more of a, well, of course she should speak. Then there's fast forward a few minutes or so in the movie, and there's another scene where he's basically about to like kill the ambassador, because the ambassador is just being, the ambassador is being in the not so positive masculine. He's being in the very, very, very low vibration of masculine. He's being more in the, what you would consider like egotistical type, dictatorship type, like masculine. And so he's being in that energy. So the king is basically like, I'm killing this dude. And before he does, though, he looks back over to his queen, and she just simply nods. Very subtle. It's very, like, if you stop to take a bite of popcorn, you're gonna miss it. It's very, very subtle. And what that is allowing the male, he's especially because he's the king, right? So he should definitely be leading, but it's allowing the male to be in the lead and still checking in with the feminine, still valuing the opinion of the feminine, still knowing my queen is behind me. Guys, that's one of the most perfect examples of the male-female energy that you can have when you're not trying to be dominant and controlling. So at another point in the relationship, one of the things that he was saying to me was that he felt like he could never be right, because I think earlier I mentioned in the video, he felt that I was smarter than him, faster than him, like always ahead of him. And so he's like, I just want to be right. I just want to know something before you do. And to me, and he even admitted, he even said, I know that's not appropriate. He said, yeah, he said, like, I know this isn't good for me to say, and this is just what I want. And what I should have told him was, okay, you want someone completely submissive, and that's not me. So it wouldn't have worked out anyway. But that was something that he wanted. Here's the thing. If you feel you're in a competition with your partner, guys, if you feel like you have to compete with your woman, if you feel like she's better than you, smarter than you, not good enough for you, all of that stuff is going to come into the energy of your relationship. And yes, you can actually put yourself in the lower vibration of the feminine. Now, men, you do want to be in your feminine. Please be very careful of where you're at in your feminine. And the reason why I say that you want to be in your feminine is because there are times when you need your woman to actually lead you. And here's what I mean by that. So when he was traveling with me to their trainings, I was in my masculine all day long because I'm teaching and holding all this energy and stuff like that. And so when I came home, or I call it home because I'm at hotels, so I just call whatever home. But when I came home, hotel, back to the room, it was such a relief. It was so wonderful to just have him guide me and take me wherever, and have him be in that leadership perspective. Guys, there's sometimes you need that too, especially if you're like a high-powered executive, or if you're starting your new business and you're working, 50, 60 plus hours. You have to take time for yourself and go into your feminine. And this is actually something that I know because since this has all happened, I've been quizzing other couples, and I'm actually in the process of creating a whole questionnaire for you to be able to see, are you more in your masculine? Are you more in your feminine? Are you at the higher vibration or the low vibration of those? When you're coming from a leadership perspective, are you able to lead the masculine, or are you leading the feminine? Are you able to switch between the two? So I've come up with this whole questionnaire thing. And like I said, I've been questioning other couples. Well, how do you two handle this? Especially couples who are high performing couples. And one of the things that a male said to me was, sometimes when he's at work like so much, he is so grateful to his wife. Sometimes he will tell her, hey, when he comes home, I need you to take care of all this stuff. And so she actually shifts into the masculine for him to allow him to shift into his feminine. Now, this is extremely important to be able to do, guys. It's extremely important for you to be able to relax into your feminine. And the reason why is because otherwise you're going to exhaust yourself. Also, if you're trying to start a new business, or if you're trying to create a new product or a new service for your current business, sometimes you need to step into creativity mode. The masculine energy is a lot about logic brain. It's that thinking, task, getting things done, that directing energy. Before you can direct, though, you have to create. Before you can do, you have to be. If you don't know who you are, it's hard to know what to be able to do. there's a whole other being doing video that I can make that can go more into the being and doing energy, but masculine energy is more doing. Feminine energy is more being, it's more creative. So if you're trying to create something with your business, then you actually want to step into your feminine. And like I said, when you're communicating with your female or whoever is representing that energy for you, when you're communicating with that person, if you allow that person to take care of you, whether that's them stepping into their masculine energy of just getting tasks done for you, you help them to feel valued. Or if it's, hey babe, I need you to be in your feminine, I just need you to nurture me. I just need you to take care of me. I just need to go on the couch and I just need to relax for a minute, or I need to go do a meditation or something. I just need to relax. So there are times, guys, when you need to be in your feminine and help her, tell her what you need from her. If you don't, if you are constantly in the I can do everything myself, what you're telling her is you don't need her. She's not of value to you. You don't value anything because you can do everything by yourself and you don't need a partner. You're not only telling her that, it's deeper than that. You're telling your source you don't need a partner. If you continue to project that type of energy to where you don't need a partner, guess what's going to happen? Something's going to happen in that relationship. Either she's not going to feel appreciated, she's not going to feel valued, and she'll just leave, or the universe, your source, will set something up to where the two of you separate in some way. So guys, it's when do you step into your masculine? When do you step into your feminine? And you're the lead. So you have to know when is what. Here's the thing though, you don't have to do it alone, because what did I just say? Women love helping you. The feminine loves helping you. So if you're not sure, all you have to do is ask for their help. Now on the whole thing of like, is your woman smarter than you? Do you think she's better than you? I guarantee you that's probably not true, because in most cases, no one is 100% better at everything than someone else. So I'm an amazing swimmer. I grew up, I actually was in the ocean, when I was learning how to walk, I was already in the ocean. So I actually don't remember ever learning how to swim, because I've always swam since I was a baby. Since I walked myself into the water, into the ocean. So for me, I'm an excellent swimmer. Now, am I as good as somebody who's been doing what are those called, triathlons or something like that? Probably not. No. Somebody who's a lifeguard, yeah, they're probably going to be a better swimmer than me. That's the point. Even though I'm an amazing natural swimmer, someone who swims every single day and that's like their livelihood, they're going to be better than me. Now, someone who grew up maybe not around water, or who didn't learn how to swim later in life, they're probably not going to be as good as a swimmer as me. I'm using something very similar as swimming, mostly because there's an ocean right there, so it's on my mind. But it's something super easy and simple, but you can apply that to everything. So when it comes to personal growth and development, yes, I have more knowledge than he does. I've gone to school for it. I've studied it. He's behind me in that, if you want to think of it from a linear perspective. Now, I also teach that time doesn't exist, so technically he's still at the same level. I just have more pieces of the puzzle than he does currently. That's a whole other different thing as well, too, though. Now, he's an entrepreneur. I've never been an entrepreneur in the way of that he did. Never started big companies that, with lots of employees, all of that kind of thing. I do independent work, and I've never done it to that level. So to me, he's way more advanced than me. He's way smarter in all of the different things that has to do with that. And do you see that about yourself? Because if you're trying to be in the masculine energy and you think you have to be better than your woman in every single circumstance, you're going to have someone who is so submissive, who is so not knowledgeable about anything that you're going to get bored. You will be bored with her. And again, talking to other couples, from what I've learned from other women is there are lots of women who are in situations to where their husbands actually think the woman's smarter than them. It's not something that should ever be considered, I have to be smarter than my woman. Sometimes there are certain things where someone's more knowledgeable and you gotta face that. You have to accept that. And like I said, if you are 100% better than a person in every single category, then you're gonna be bored because they're not gonna be able to teach you anything. And it's not gonna work out that way either. So it's, can you be congruent with who you are? Can you step into the masculine, and do you know how, if she has more knowledge than you in a certain subject, do you know how to ask for help? Because if you do, you will activate her feminine, which is actually what you want versus being right. Because ultimately, is it more important to be right, or is it more important to activate her feminine? And again, all of this is up to you. Take all of this information for however it works for you. There's other videos where I talked about, this one I went a little bit more relationship-y. There's other videos where I talk about it in relating to business as well. So you can watch the video on the feminine. It talks about the business part of it. And there's another video I'll put in the link below that talks more about the business part too. I'm trying not to make this video too long. And I know I need to wrap up a little bit with some things to put you, or to make sure you're in your masculine. So masculine, again, it's that leading energy. It's more of a direct energy. A huge wave just came up, it was beautiful. It's more of a goal-oriented, getting tasks done type energy. Also, the tide is coming in, and if it gets too high at a certain point, it's going to be very hard for me to get back to where my car is. So also need to wrap this up a little bit. How do you be in your masculine energy? Masculine is, do you have a routine? Do you have a routine that you do for all of your bodies? Your physical body, do you take care of it? Do you get good nutrition? Your emotional body, do you have a high EQ? Do you have a high emotional intelligence? Do you work on your mental body? Are you spending time learning new things? Do you have like a spiritual practice? Whatever that means to you. Sometimes it's church, sometimes it's meditation. Sometimes it's just connecting with the elements. Do you have a connection with those around you though? And having a routine, having tasks that you get to like complete and do, it's very healthy for you. Having a routine though in a way that is not so structured that if it gets messed up, you're all out of whack. You have to make sure that if your routine, you can be flexible with it as well. And that's a little bit sometimes when you go into the feminine energy, because feminine has that more flexibility part of it. So sometimes, for example, the men that I travel with who are trainers, they have to be more flexible in their routine. They have like a travel routine and a home routine, or they're a little bit more flexible with it. That's why it's also good to be in your feminine a little bit, even if you are, standing strong in your masculine. And for masculine, knowing how to ground yourself, knowing how to connect with what we call Honua in Hawaii, in Huna, knowing how to connect with the earth element, be strong, be sturdy. It's sometimes you have to be up here in your headspace for learning. Going down into your heart space can activate feminine energy. It can also activate masculine, especially if you bring it down lower into your na'au, your gut. And if you bring your energy source down, especially into your root chakra, and do grounding exercises, I have a whole meditation on grounding you can listen to. Do grounding exercises, it puts you back in your higher vibration of masculine because you're rooted. It's like you're strong like a tree. And then you're able to lead. And here's the thing about the feminine. If you want your woman to be in the feminine, you gotta take all of her feminine. And sometimes the feminine can be more emotional, more erratic emotions, more emotions that you might not understand. If you're wanting, really truly wanting her to be in your feminine, you gotta be prepared that she might go emotional. When she goes emotional, how are you reacting to that? Because when she goes emotional, if you stay grounded and you don't react to her emotions, and instead you can ground her, that is leading. Asking for help, that is leading. Blindly not wanting her help, making her walk for over 10 minutes in heels and then still not accepting help, that's not leading. That's not being in your masculine. Being in your masculine is making your woman feel safe. There's no faster way to kick her out of her feminine as if she doesn't feel safe. It's taking care of her from that safety perspective. Women, the feminine energy, that's taken care of from the nurturing, making sure the person's okay perspective. I hope you guys all get the difference in that. And I'll be making more videos on this as well, to really be able to go over the difference between masculine and feminine, when to be in your masculine, when to be in your feminine, from a business perspective and so on. I hope you guys have gotten some information out of this video. Please like, subscribe, share, all those happy little things. I love you all. And in the meantime, please always choose love in all that you do. Mahalo.